Okay, I really sacrifice my life and liberty every time I'm out here making an evil content cop. Because what's the whole premise of this thing? Watch something bad and have some critiques. Or watch something good and pick out all the bad things that you can think about it. Either way, I'm putting myself through physical and psychological torture to come out here with entertainment. And I did it again. I watched a movie directed by Fred Durst. Yeah, that's right. The front person for Limp Bizkit directed this movie called The Fanatic, and you'll never believe who starred in it. John Travolta. We got the collaboration of a century happening out here, and I had no idea that this happened 5 years ago. 2019. Yeah, 2019 was 5 years ago, people. Anyway, 2019, John Travolta, the great mind that he is, got together with an even more brilliant mind in Fred Durst. Fred Durst co-wrote it and directed it, and it's bad. I'm Evil iDubbbz, and this is Evil Content Cop, so I'm gonna go through 5 charges over here, and believe me, they're all felonies. We're throwing this movie in the slammer before we even get started, okay? And because this is slammer ridden off the bat, this video is gonna be filled with spoilers. I am just going to be telling you everything that goes down from plot point to story point to all these arcs, all these beats. I don't care about the beats. I'm the only cop walking this beat right now. So if you're out here to get like storyline beats mysteriously hidden from you, this is not the video. This is the video for spoiling The Fanatic by Fred Durst. John Allo! DJ Lethal, yeah! Okay, so I'm gonna go through basically the first little bit of this synopsis, and then I'm gonna get into handing out all these infractions, all these charges over here. So basically this movie is called The Fanatic, starring John Travolta. And John Travolta plays a guy who really loves films. He lives in Hollywood and works on the strip getting money from tourists. He like dresses up as a British cop and he takes pictures with tourists, okay? But that's not really focused on whatsoever. He seems a little bit, I don't know, neurodivergent, you know what I mean? He's that kind of character. And to have John Travolta playing this kind of neurodivergent character, I think was the whole draw. Because John Travolta is normally playing like the big stud. He's too cool or he's getting shorty. But I guess he wanted an acting challenge. And he was like, no, I want to play like a stalker type character. I want to play like a really weird, neurodivergent, really way out there, super fan of something. So John Travolta's character in this movie, his name is Moose. And Moose is all about getting the autographs, right? He wants the autographs, he wants the paraphernalia, he wants all the memorabilia of all of his favorite action stars. That kind of guy. And they don't really do too much of a deep dive on this character. It is very surface level. So anyway, we meet this Moose character at the beginning in a collector shop. He ends up getting the vest worn by his favorite actor, Hunter Dunbar. So the shop owner has this Hunter Dunbar vest that Moose really wants but could never afford. But the owner's like, you know what, Moose, give me $300 for this vest and you can have it. And that $300 can come at any time, you know? So he takes the vest, he puts it on backwards, he loves this thing, and the whole thing is he wants Hunter Dunbar to sign this vest. He goes to a signing that's actually at the shop conveniently the next day with Hunter Dunbar. While Moose is next in the line, Hunter gets pulled away for mysterious ex-wife reasons, leaving Moose without the opportunity to get his autograph. So far we're hitting everything right on the nose. No surprises to be had. The movie is narrated by Moose's best friend Leah, who's an up-and-coming paparazzi photographer, so she has this app where all the stars live. This is a bad recipe. Forget what the app is actually called. Starline? Starwire? Anyway, it's basically just an app that doxes all celebrities. You really are forcing me to like suspend all disbelief with this movie, aren't you, Fred Durst? Just an app with everybody's address on it. Okay. So what's gonna happen if this kind of app gets in the hand of this kind of fan? Uh-oh. It's so fucking stupid, people. Like, this shit really sucks. But now, let's just get into these infractions, citations, charges, and otherwise. The first thing, I'm going to charge this thing with 1 count of dropping the tonal ball. No, we're not in New York City dropping any sort of ball for New Year's Eve right now. They dropped the tonal ball because this basically feels like a sitcom without a laugh track. A sitcom without any jokes. This feels not like a thriller, not like a horror. There's not really a lot of suspense or tension. And you think these are all the kinds of things that they would be going after, right? Okay, now we're getting to a big, hefty charge over here. 4 counts of loose ends. You don't want loose ends in your movie, especially if it's a one-off. So you know going into this film as a viewer that Moose is going to go to Hunter's house, okay? So Moose goes to Hunter's house, he goes inside of the property, and the maid sees him the first time. He leaves. The second time, the maid sees him again and tries to beat him with like a chocolate or whatever they call it. Actually, it might not have been, but I think that's kind of like the vibe that they were going for there, or whatever. But anyway, Moose gets, stop hitting me with the thing that you're hitting me with, and pushes her over, and she just dies. She hits her head on like a fountain or whatever. The maid is now dead. And of course, Moose is just like, oh, you just have a nosebleed. That's not gonna be very good. And she's there for the entire film. Are you telling me that this dead maid is just gonna lay there in the middle of this famous person's yard while all this other stuff goes on, and you're just gonna leave that there until the very, very end? Suspension of disbelief out the window right from the beginning. The gaps in logic here are wider than the gaps that I ollie in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. So the maid is one loose end. The second loose end are the social media posts. Now, what do I mean by the social media posts? Now, this is where this thing is getting 3 more counts of loose ends, because this is unforgivable stuff, okay? If you expect me to watch a story, this is the kind of stuff that you need to avoid doing right from the very beginning brainstorming process of building up a story. Okay, so let's talk about these social media posts. Moose successfully breaks into Hunter's house and spends all day there amongst Hunter's stuff. Eventually, Hunter comes home with his kid. He's on kid duty or whatever because he's been divorced or whatever. Of course he has. Nobody notices Moose is around. They all go to sleep, okay? And then Moose takes some pictures with Hunter while Hunter is asleep. But not only sleeping Hunter, rich and famous Dunbar, basically a selfie with Moose down there kissing him. Now, if that was just a picture for his archives or whatever, I would excuse it. But in the next scene, his friend Leah is like, what about these social media posts? You kissing the sleeping guy? If that's on social media, no matter how unknown you are, people are going to notice that. And the knock at your door in the morning wouldn't be from your best friend Leah, it would be from the police. The narrator of this film, his best friend Leah, the up-and-coming paparazzo or whatever, is the only character that you can kind of like ground yourself in reality with. She's the one that kind of is the vessel for the audience to kind of understand what's going on. So getting to know her a little bit, her backstory, a little bit of like side quest B-plot type stuff going on with her could have tied this together in a more believable way. And if you wanted to weave him killing the maid into this story, that had to have been addressed with at least a little bit of urgency. And that all leads us to the third charge over here. Bad pacing. Clearly, the whole movie is basically just the setup for a movie. They take an hour and a half to tell you what they could tell you in 20 minutes at the beginning of a film. And the end of this film tells me that the next part of it would be the interesting investigative part of it. Exploring the Fanatic side of it is not really so interesting in and of itself, but how the Fanatic gets away with it in the end and how Hunter gets pinned for the killing of the maid at the end, yes, I just spoiled it right here, would all lead you to believe that what follows would be the interesting part. So here, let me fix your film really quickly. You don't need to have Moose going 3 times to the property before something happens. You have him going 1 time. You do all of that in 1 visit to the property, okay? And you establish everything that you did through that 1 visit to the property. You kill the maid. You go up there unnoticed. You hide under the bed. You tie up your favorite actor. You threaten to kill him. You do all of that sort of stuff in one go. And then when Hunter manipulates you to untie him and he blows off your hand with the shotgun and stabs you in the eye, literally that is what happened. And miraculously you somehow make it back out into the world and Hunter gets pinned for all of this sort of stuff. That would be kind of an interesting way, an interesting hook to get you interested in what's going to happen next. But no, Moose has got to show up once with a letter. He's got to show up a second time, and it's got to escalate little by little. You can escalate that really quickly because of the kind of person that Moose is established to be. He's obsessive. He doesn't understand social cues. He's going to go to the extreme. So what they did here at the end is going to lead me to the fourth charge, and that's the wrong ending. So I know I kind of breezed through it there at the last part, but let's focus on the ending here for a little bit. So like I said, Moose showed up to this property 3 different times, and each time Hunter got more and more angry. Moose wasn't going to go take this to a violent level until Hunter called him a stalker. And that was a trigger within Moose's brain to go absolutely ballistic. No one calls me a stalker. So he shows up at night, because it's been proven that he can show up at night, and then there's a hard cut. There he is, Hunter Dunbar, tied to his bed, all freaked out and asleep. He wakes up and he sees Moose dead on the ground. Imagine waking up tied up and seeing John Travolta dead on the ground. Anyway, there's a sigh of relief, but John Travolta was just playing around. He's just horsing around. He's just being an actor. And in this scene, there really should be so much tension going on. But basically, Hunter Dunbar relies on his acting skills and the fact that John Travolta is such a fan of his to manipulate him into untying one arm. Once one arm is untied, Hunter headbutts Moose. Moose goes down. Hunter gets free, gets his shotgun, blows off Moose's hand. So he's just like walking around, oh my hand. Hunter ends up kicking Moose down the stairs, like down 3 flights of stairs, beating the crap out of him the whole while. 2 more shotgun blasts beside the head, so he just has all this like ringing in his ears. And then he takes a hunter's knife, because his name is Hunter. Isn't that the most clever twist on anything that you've ever seen in your life? And he stabs John Travolta in the eye socket. And when Hunter does that, he can't believe what he has done. Oh my God, I just stabbed this guy in the eye. Right then and there, you should have finished him off. But he doesn't finish him off. He lets Moose go. And that's the whole twist of the thing. You expect the Fanatic to murder the star in the end. That's going to be the whole arc that we take. But no, the Fanatic just hits the street again. And where does he go? The Strip. He goes right back to the Walk of Fame, and there's just like a trickle of blood coming down his eye. He just got stabbed in the eye with a hunter's knife. He's like, oh, it's just a flesh wound. Just a flesh wound. Come on now. You see what I mean by like sitcom without the jokes? Thriller without the suspense? It's crazy. And that's going to lead us all the way to our final charge, critical malfeasance. I'm not the only one that didn't enjoy this film. It seems like nobody enjoyed this film, if you're judging by what's online anyway. I know that there are some people out there from varying degrees of appreciation of this film, but I wanted it to be so bad it's good. This is a thriller called The Fanatic, starring John Travolta, directed by Fred Durst. These are all the ingredients for so bad it's good. And I gotta tell you, I only had 2 or 3 good laughs throughout this thing that came from unintentional funny moments, and you need unintentional funny moment after unintentional funny moment throughout the entire thing. But to me, I'm just like, no, I don't believe it. I'm not even here for this. So I don't think I would have like a watch party with this. You can just tell this joke to somebody, say, oh, you know Fred Durst directed a movie before and John Travolta starred in it, and you could end it there. That's fine. You don't actually need to go through with the viewing of this thing. They kind of waste your time the whole way through. So I'm sorry, Fred Durst and John Travolta, you're gonna have to spend a collective 69,420 days in the Slammer. And I'm hearing the Slammer is a vicious place this time of year. All right, you're in the ENDGANG right now. That's pretty sick. That means you made it all the way to the end of the video, and now you are in the illustrious ENDGANG. Comment down below how sick it feels to be in the ENDGANG. And if anybody is saying anything critical about my video down there, you let them know that we don't care about their opinions down there if they're saying that kind of stuff, because they're not in the ENDGANG. The only people that matter around here, okay, are people in the ENDGANG. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I don't know. You can go to my wrestling channel and yeah, okay. How do you end? How do I normally end YouTube videos? I wait for a little bit, do the end gang bit, and until my next upload, watch another upload. That's how I do it. Okay, bye.